Hello and welcome to The Extra Mile. I'm Linda BOUDREAUX. Our guest today is ARCENEAUX. She is with the Gilded Lily Design Studio in Baton Rouge, and she's been with us before, and I'm so excited that she came back today. Anne, thank you so much for coming.
So glad to be here.
And today we're talking about freshwater pearls, is that right?
That's correct.
But before we get into that, tell us a little bit about the Gilded Lily Design Studio, because you do amazing things over there.
Well, thank you. Well, we've been in operation about 13 years, retail. Prior to that, our parent company was CNC Pearl, and we were only wholesale then. And what we do is we do everything a full-service jewelry store would do, but we also custom design. So you can have it your way. You can have it.
Which is exactly how most of us want it, let's face it.
That's correct. And if you can have it the length you want, the color you want, the size you want, the kind of clasp you want, you can have it be a bracelet, a necklace, a ring, earrings. If you have a special event, you can come in and bring your dress, and we can design to that or whatever.
So it's like you all do a lot of creative, hands-on work over there, is that right?
We do. And if you remember last year, I came in and I showed you the bridal hair comb that we designed for the Twilight movie.
I was getting ready to bring that up. I mean, that is just a beautiful piece of art.
And then this year, actually in November of last year, this is the Renesmee locket that we designed for the second Breaking Dawn Part 2. And,
so Hollywood has found you.
I guess. Yeah, we really had a good time doing this, and one of the things that we did that we really wanted to put a little touch of Louisiana in there, so we used the fleur-de-lis.
And they're setting up that shot now, so we can look at that. But this is a locket then that's in Breaking Dawn 2, is that right?
Yes, it's the locket that Bella gives her daughter Renesmee, and the locket itself has the fleur-de-lis on the front, and then on the inside of the locket, it has a picture of Bella and Edward, and it has a little French saying that says, more than life itself.
What fun. Is it fun to do all that? It's got to be, huh?
It was fun. The only thing that wasn't fun about it was having to keep it a secret for over a year. That part was not fun.
Okay, but the word's out. It's a locket. It has a fleur-de-lis on it. We
fun.
just totally love it.
And so those are the kind of things that are really nice when you can create something yourself. You know, you do it however someone wants it. Sometimes people have a vision, and I think definitely in the book with the Twilight sagas, Stephanie Meyer had a vision, and in reading that, we kind of picked up on that, especially for the Bella comb, and tried to create something that we felt was her vision, and she had the last say so I guess we did.
But I just want to drive the point home for people watching. If you watch Breaking Dawn and you see the Bella comb in the movie, and you will because it's there, Anne and her partner designed and made it, and so it's a Louisiana piece, and I'm just very proud of us.
Baton Rouge and Louisiana.
Very, very proud. But moving on.
Along, yeah.
Now you are a lover of saltwater pearls. Am I right about that? I mean freshwater.
I'm a lover of all pearls.
But you work with freshwater primarily?
No, we work with everything. But
okay.
Today what we're going to talk about, because you were so gracious and have invited me to come back and talk about each kind of pearl.
Yes.
Today I'm going to just hit real quickly on the Japanese AKOYA pearl, which is in most of the days. I'm going to be 60 this year, so I'll tell you that in my day, when we referred to a cultured pearl, we were talking about a Japanese AKOYA, which was a perfectly round pearl that was grown in an oyster in salt water. Freshwater pearls are grown in a mussel.
Oh.
And they are grown in lakes and rivers, and they're mostly done in China.
Are they farmed?
They are farmed.
Okay,
They are
okay.
farmed. And so they do not have they don't implant a perfectly round mother of pearl bead in the center of them like they do a saltwater pearl. So they're not perfectly round, although I brought some to show you that are fabulous, and you can see that they are pretty round. So the freshwater pearls are now starting to compete somewhat with the Japanese AKOYA pearls that were our saltwater pearls.
Those are beautiful, and those are big.
These are big. And
You know, those old poppin' beads, they're almost the size of those
this
beads,
is a
aren't
fairly
they?
new thing. Freshwater pearls, the original freshwater pearls, and I'm dating myself here, but in the 1970s is when they started becoming popular again. They were like little Rice Krispies. They were very tiny.
I remember those,
Remember those?
now that you say
So
it, yes.
and I apologize because I had planned on bringing some and they didn't make it inside. But, so that little, used to be, the Rice Krispie pearl was the only thing in a freshwater pearl. And now we have so many different kinds. Freshwater pearls are usually named by their shape. So you have a nugget, you have a potato, which is the semi-round, is called a potato because it kind of has a potato shape. You have a stick pearl because it looks like a stick. You have an oval because it looks like an oval. And so,
Well, that's pretty clear, huh?
yeah, so it makes it pretty clear. If you're not sure what kind of pearls you're looking at, look at the shape. Now, one thing that can make that a little confusing is, for instance, you can have an oval pearl, but instead of it being drilled from top to bottom, it can be drilled at the head, which gives it this little look. This is an oval freshwater pearl, and it's drilled at the head, so we call it a head drill. And that gives it a look of like a little dancing pearl. So
Sure
sometimes
does.
These are called dancing pearls. And, but so the shapes, again, are also the names of the pearl.
Okay.
And then the other thing that we look at is the colors of the pearls. And this goes for any pearls, not only just freshwater pearls, but a pearl, an AKOYA pearl or a freshwater pearl, the color can be, if you look at the inside of the oyster shell, any of those colors that are naturally in the inside of the oyster shell can be a natural occurring pearl.
So those beautiful pale pinks and
Pale pinks,
blues
kinda
and
peach.
grays and yeah.
Kind of, when we refer to a black pearl, it's not black like onyx. It's black like either blue black or gray black.
Yeah.
Or sometimes it has purple or blue or other colors. I will pick up a freshwater strand here to show you that's, now this is a potato pearl. So if you look at it closely, you'll see that it has a potato shape. But when you're wearing it, it appears round. But
And
it
those
definitely
are
is a potato
really
color.
kind of an iridescent black. They have
Yes.
purple
And
and
that's-
amber in
this-
there.
This is what we call a peacock. And so the peacock color, it's harvested and they're all pretty much the same color, but it is heat treated. And that heat treating brings up this really pretty iridescent
Oh.
color on it. So when you wear these, when they're natural, they're gonna, depending on what you have on, if you have on a brown, it's gonna pick up the plum that's in there. If you have on a pastel color, it'll probably pick up the purples and the blues, and it just depends on what you have on. And it's really interesting because it can be it can look like a different necklace when you have, depending on what you have it on.
Wow.
And I think that's one of the things that's really fascinating about pearls, and especially freshwater pearls, because there's so many different colors.
Yeah, I was just thinking as you were talking, when we're looking at these, we're looking at size, shape, color. I mean, there's a lot of variation in these, and they're all natural. They're all just coming right out of the shell, right?
Well, no, they're not all natural.
There's a
So
secret
I brought a
here.
few things for you to see so that you can see that some of them were dyed.
Okay.
And but what you need to remember is the natural pearls are going to be the ones, the colors that you would see and notice in the inside of the shell. Okay. Now, immediately you should be able to know. We're going to get a shot of this.
This is
This is a dyed. Do I need to bring it over some for you?
There we go.
There it is. This is kind of an orange color. And so you'll see that this is not a natural color.
So is that cheating in any kind of way, or is that just perfectly
Not at all.
legit in the
As long
pearl
as you-
industry?
As long as you know, I mean, you know, the whole thing is to bring, I'm gonna put it back in the same spot for you. It's to bring a variety, because people are so into pearls and fashion.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, right here, with this shot, this will show you that the lime green color is a dyed color, but the other green is a natural color. So if you see these two pearls together, you've probably never seen a lime green inside of a shell.
Probably not.
So, but you've probably seen this other color green, so that'll give you an idea. What you really want to know for sure is that you're getting what you pay for. So when you're purchasing pearls, there's a lot of things to think about, to ponder on, and that is where we'll come to the point where we're going to talk a little bit about size, color, shape, nacre. So I'm going to give you a little history of what happens, how the pearl is formed. So a freshwater pearl is grown, obviously, in fresh water, either in a lake or a river. They're grown in a mussel rather
So
than an
not
oyster.
an oyster. And you were saying before we started today's show, we used to have a lot of freshwater pearls here in the United States, but we
We
don't
did.
anymore.
In the 1800s and the early 1900s, we had freshwater pearls in the Ohio River and also in the Mississippi River. We still do have some in the Mississippi River, but the United States was a big producer of the pearls, of the freshwater pearls, before the Industrial Revolution. When the Industrial Revolution came along, they overfished them, they overharvested, and then we started getting pollution from the Industrial Revolution. So we lost a lot of our beautiful natural pearls that were being harvested out of the Ohio and the Mississippi River.
Is there any interest that you know of among maybe pearl harvesters to get this industry back up and running, or is it just too far gone?
No, it's just different.
Okay.
It will never be what it was before. It doesn't look like it.
Okay.
And part of that is because, it's the necessity of it is not there. But we have beautiful pearls that they are harvesting, like I said, out of the Mississippi River in the Tennessee area.
Okay.
So there's, you're able to get them. There is something, and I really hesitate to comment because I don't know enough about it, but there is someone that's trying to do something with a Louisiana pearl, and I'm not sure.
Well, we'll just put it out there as a
Something for the
hopeful
research,
sign.
So next time when I come, I'll be able
Okay.
to comment on it.
Okay,
But,
great.
I don't really know enough about it
Okay.
to say much about it.
Just hope for it
Um,
now, that's
Yeah.
all. Okay,
But the big industry is in China.
okay.
The big industry for freshwater pearls is in China, and it takes approximately 2 years once they put it. A lot of people think that it's a grain of sand, and that's kind of a myth because it's usually not a grain of sand. It's usually a natural pearl would be some kind of irritant, which might be a parasite or something on that order that gets into the oyster or the mussel. In this case, we're talking about mussels, so I'm going to talk about the mussel at this point. That God gives the mussel a natural instinct to protect itself. So when this irritant gets in, it has what we call nacre, which is actually the shiny part that's coated over the pearl, and that makes the size and the lust, the beauty of the color shiny.
Okay.
And it keeps coating it and coating it and coating it. So the longer that you keep it in the shell, the larger the pearl's going to be, the prettier the pearl's going to be, the higher the luster. So that's one of the questions is, well, why are some pearls very shiny and some pearls not so shiny?
Yeah, I was wondering that.
And that is, the reason for that is some have been in the shell longer and they've been, well taken care of. And there's definitely a science to the forming of the pearls. And that's why the Japanese pearls have always been such a premium, because they wear gloves. They when they implant the bead, it's like they're doing surgery on a person. I mean, they want to make sure that there's no bacteria. I mean, it's very interesting. Now with the freshwaters, instead of implanting a mother of pearl bead, they implant a piece of the mantle of another mussel into the mantle, the edge of this mussel, and that's what the mussel says, oh, something's in here that's not supposed to
Right.
be in here, let me protect myself, and it starts putting the nacre out. And
Okay.
you may have a question. One of the things that my first thing was, well, do they just get one pearl out of that, and is it going to die afterwards?
Well, I was thinking, is it going to die, you know?
And that's why they're so careful with them, because they're trying to make sure that they don't kill the oyster.
Okay.
And so they usually are able to implant at least twice with freshwaters. So, and sometimes more, but with the freshwater pearl, it can produce up to like 50 pearls in one mussel.
That sounds like it would
that's
take up
why-
most of the room in there, huh?
So, yeah, well, that's why, they're fairly, nice size. But that's why they're so much less expensive.
Because of the
many.
quantity.
Yeah. And it takes about 2 years to form a really nice freshwater pearl.
Okay.
Let
Let me ask you, why do they come out in different shapes?
That is still a very good question. Part of it is the shape that they cut the mantle in, has something
Okay.
to do with it. But also, they can think they're going to be getting around, and the next thing you know, they got what we call a Baroque pearl. And this is a good example, and a very large example of a Baroque
I love
pearl.
that one. That's a
It's
beautiful pearl.
This shot that we're getting ready to get is a very large freshwater Baroque pearl.
With lots of
And-
colors in it.
Yes.
And that one has a lot of luster, doesn't
It
it?
has a whole lot of luster, and one of the things that I was going to tell you about the freshwater pearls is, well, on all pearls, there's two, there's a undertone and an overtone, and the undertone on this pearl is a very light cream, and the overtone is a pink. And this also has almost a look of aurora borealis. It has
Mhm, it
has
does.
a very iridescent,
It does.
very high luster overtone. And when you get this high luster on a pearl, it means that it's got a lot of nacre. Nacre is the actual substance that's formed, and the more layers that it has, the higher the luster.
And
So-
does
and
does that affect the price or the value of
that
the pearl?
definitely affects the price and the value. And if you went to the pearl markets, pearls are sold by weight. And so if you were buying wholesale, you might have two strands that seem exactly the same. But if you weighed the two different ones, one might weigh more than the other one, and the one that weighs more is going to be the one that's, the price goes up on it, and that means that it has more layers of nacre on it.
Okay.
And that's the one way to understand it, but one of the things that Linda and I were talking about earlier is that you definitely want, when you're purchasing pearls, one of the things that you want to realize is if you go to store X, store Y, and store Z, and you say, I would like to see your 7mm pearls. And at store X, they're $50, and at store Y, they're $100, and at store Z, they're $500. And you're like, whoa, well, the store X had the best buy. But that is not necessarily true, because chances are you are not comparing apples to apples, okay? So several things that you're going to want to look at when you're buying pearls is, and it just depends on what you're looking for, because if you like Baroque pearls and you like odd shapes, the freshwaters are going to have, there's a lot of difference,
Yeah.
But if you're buying a freshwater pearl, let's say you want it to look round, okay? The rounder they are, the more expensive they're going to be. The larger they are, the more expensive they're going to be. The more surface that they have without blemish, the more they're going to be. One of the things that you really want to make sure, especially if you're buying a smaller strand of pearls, is that, and now of course this is all relative. If we buy a luxury Ford and we buy a luxury Lamborghini, there's going to be a difference,
Yeah.
in the price. You just want to make sure that getting what you pay for.
Yeah, whatever.
But in
wherever
general,
you are, yeah.
one of the things that you want when you're buying pearls is you want them to be well matched. When you look down the strand, you want them to have the similar luster down the whole strand, because sometimes they try to fool you by putting the really prettier ones right in the front, because that's where your eye goes to the middle of the strand, and then they kind of, they're not necessarily matched with size or with color or with anything. So the main thing is that you want to have the size match, the color match, and the luster match.
Okay, and I was actually wondering about that. So when the pearls are harvested, and there must be people who kind of sort them, because every
exactly
muscle is
right.
not going to create
That is
one that
exactly
looks like
right.
this.
And the next time I come, I'm going to be talking about the Japanese AKOYAs, and one of the things we will talk about is the way culturing first started, and how that revolutionized the whole pearl industry. And we'll talk a little bit about Mikimoto.
Okay. So, but right now, when you're buying, try to get everything to match or as much as
number
possible.
one, you want to go to someone that you feel is knowledgeable, because pearls are kind of tricky. And you want to, I always tell people, if you are buying for an investment, no matter where you're buying, make sure you've done your homework. If you're buying because you just like it, then as long as you feel like you have gotten a good, you feel good about the money that you've spent, that's all that matters, But if you're buying for investment, people, do your homework.
So are freshwater pearls an investment?
Freshwater pearls are normally not what I would call an investment, because one of the things that's so wonderful about freshwater pearls is everybody can afford them now.
Yeah.
We have freshwater pearls starting at $10 and up to, they can get pretty pricey. They can get into, over maybe like even up to a couple of $1,000s. The large ones, and we're just starting to be able to get the real large ones.
Okay.
But you can get them in every color, shape, size. You can, if you see here that I have my hand on this. This is what we call a keshi pearl. This is a natural occurring pearl that forms when they've
That's
implanted
beautiful.
a regular oyster that's going to have a round freshwater pearl, and sometimes it'll just, if for lack of better words, spit off these other little pearls, and they're just different shapes, and they're so beautiful. And what we've done here is we've embellished it with, this is green amethyst, sometimes called praesiolite, and we've used some yellow gold has come back quite strong now. You'll see it in all the magazines with the belts and the shoes and the accessories, so we're using yellow gold again. So this will give you an idea of something that's very different with freshwater pearls. In fashion, you can, with anybody with any budget, any kind of taste, can get something creative that's really amazing.
I want to point out this
yeah.
one. I mean, this is not my necklace. I just picked it up off the table when Ann unpacked, because I mean, I love it. And these pearls,
that's an oval coin pearl, and it's got a texture to it. And those are freshwaters. That's a dyed color, but it's definitely was. They wanted to have something fashion conscious and different, and so that's why they did that particular pearl. And we did it.
But
with,
the texture
we made it with
is
some
natural,
crystals.
right? I mean,
Yeah,
it came out
yeah.
with that little rough.
It did.
Yeah. Okay. Wonderful.
Interesting. If we can get one more shot on over here. This is the largest keshi that we've ever had, and so I brought this because I thought people would really enjoy seeing. This is such a beautiful pearl.
It really is a beautiful pearl. Look at that. Now, did you design the necklace?
Yes, we did.
So when you're designing the necklace, do you just know what you're going to do when you start, or do you just start working with the pearls and let them tell you where to go?
Some of the most beautiful things that I think that I have ever done are things that I look on my desk and I have all kind of little funny things, and I go, oh, I think I want to mix this and that and that. And some of the other designers at the store have different, Corman does one thing, Julie will do another thing, Kelly will do another thing. It's just, I think naturally just everybody brings something different to the table. And because there's so many different shapes and colors and sizes, and the way they're drilled makes a difference.
Right, yeah.
They can be drilled at the top part, they can be drilled from the top to the bottom, they can be drilled in the middle, and it changes the whole look of Would it?
And before we end, because and those are all gorgeous, but also, and I want to bring out, pearls mix well with other things. We have a mix with
absolutely.
crystals here, but you have that beautiful piece over there
The
that's mixed with the
turquoise here.
turquoise.
There you go, yeah.
So you can just do so much with pearls, I'm thinking, huh?
Oh, absolutely. You can, you'll be, there you go. That's, turquoise and pearl is so beautiful together, especially during the summer.
Yeah, yeah.
So, since we have so much summer. Most of the year
We have
some-
lots
although
of
we had
summer, so we're
a
good.
winter this year, didn't we?
We did.
I hope that I've given you just a little glimpse of some of the things with freshwater pearls, and I've answered some of your questions,
You
Linda,
have.
about what happens with freshwater pearls, how they're formed, and how we are using them today in fashion.
Well, it helped me because I grew up with the Japanese cultured pearls, and I kept looking at all the different shapes and colors and thinking, is that really a real pearl? And the answer is,
Yes,
It's
really a real pearl. And next time when I come, we're going to talk about the Japanese AKOYAs, and we'll have a funny story to tell you about the real pearls.
so we have the
Thank you.
offshoots of the real pearls. And thank you so
These
much
are
for coming
real
back.
pearls,
I mean, the offshoot of them, the next
Absolutely.
generation, let
The
me put it that
next-
way.
yes,
Thank you
very good.
so much for being here
Thank you,
today.
Linda. I enjoyed it so much.
And thank you for watching The Extra Mile.